It wouldn't be the Melbourne Food and Wine Festival without the world's longest lunch. So joining us now is CEO of the festival, Natalie O'Brien. And Natalie, tell us, how did this idea for the world's longest lunch come about?
Well, it started 17 years ago, and the first longest lunch was at the MCG, and every year we look for an iconic Melbourne location to run the lunch.
What sort of preparation goes into an event like this?
Well, we very first start with finding 430 metres of space, and that's one of the trickiest things. And given we have run the lunch, this will be the 17th time, we really have to look for a straight piece of land that we can fit the lunch. We involve a lot of staff. We have 800 staff involved on the day, 36 chefs. We use over 300 kilos of meat, so the logistics and planning are quite huge.
What are some of the things that people come back for again and again?
Well, I think one of the longest lunches certainly is an iconic part of the festival, but we also run the Coffee Festival, which we've been running for 6 years, and that'll be happening this weekend on Sunday at Federation Square. And there's also a number of other favourites like the Duck Crawl that's been going for quite some time, working the streets of Little Bourke Street, Duck and Pinot all the way to the end. So there certainly are some favourites, and this year we also have some new events which are in the laneways, from jazz to canapes to tastings, etc. in gorgeous Melbourne laneways.
Well, Dan Sims from Sommeliers Australia and the Wine Guide, tell us what's good in Australian wine at the moment.
Well, heaps. There's a lot going on. We've got a whole bunch out there, especially whites, obviously, this time of year. Sauvignon Blanc's pretty hot at the moment, but there's a lot of different, what we call alternative varieties at the moment. So I think diversity is what's hot at the moment in Australian wine. So I think get out there and try whatever you can.
Now, tell us, what's the difference between a premium bottle of wine, and you might pay a couple of grand for, and say a decent bottle you might get for $60?
Well, I think it's all a matter of perception. It's like, for me, the best way to describe it would be, what's the difference between a really small hatchback and a Ferrari? I mean, they both get you from A to B, but I suppose it's the perception and the style in which you get there. The most important thing really is to find out the style of wine that you enjoy and experience it.
David, what sort of cheeses are we seeing in Australia these days?
We're seeing the full range. Any cheese that's made in the world is basically made in Australia. There's some standout ones that we don't exactly emulate, but most styles we cover pretty well. Australian cheeses these days are every bit as good as European cheeses. Fortunately, in Australia, the milk quality right across is of the highest standard. So then it comes down to cheesemakers' skill and expertise.
So what's really good in Australian cheese at the moment? What should the average punter be looking for?
Oh, I think the white mould cheeses, the camemberts and the bries are very, very high class. The ones that are getting more and more interest from a small base are the washed rind cheeses, the smelly ones, but there's some excellent blue cheeses around as well.
Well, there you have it. Something for everyone at the Melbourne Food and Wine Festival. Don't miss out.